Welcome. I'm going to call the regular meeting of the Nevada City Council to order. Today is Wednesday, January 28th, 2026. It's 6:30 p.m. We'll begin with the Nisenan tribe recognition. I'm going to ask Councilmember Peterson to read that for us.
Thank you. We acknowledge that the Nisenan people are still here among us today, though nearly invisible. We understand that we are on Nisenan land that was never ceded, and the original tribal families have yet to recover from the near genocide of their people. As a resident or visitor in Nisenan land, we support the Nevada City Rancheria Nisenan tribe in efforts to stabilize their people, as well as their campaign to restore federal recognition.
Appreciate it, Gary. Joan, would you like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Sure.
Thanks.
Wow. You assigned the city manager.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Joan. Madam Deputy City Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilmember Peterson,
Here.
Councilmember Fleming, absent. Councilmember Fernandez,
Here.
Vice Mayor Cece, absent. Mayor Klein.
I'm here. Thank you very much. Council, now is the time for any agenda modifications. Would you like to make any additional changes to the agenda, pull consent items, or do we have any recusals to announce? Hearing none, I'm looking for a motion and a second.
I move that we approve the agenda, the consent agenda.
Not the consent agenda,
I'm sorry.
just the
that we-
agenda.
Just
That we move the agenda.
Sure, I second that one.
motion from Gary, second from Daniela. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Okay, motion carries. We don't have any presentations tonight, so we'll move right along to public comment. Government Code Section 54954.3 provides that any member of the public may address the city council on any matter not on the agenda that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the city. The Brown Act, with limited exceptions, does not allow the council or staff to discuss issues brought forth under public comment. The council cannot take action on non-agenda items. Concerns may be referred to staff or placed on a future agenda. Please note that comments from the public will also be taken on the consent calendar and each agenda item at the time it is heard. Hearing all that, do we have any public comment tonight on matters not on the agenda? Please come right up.
Good evening, Council. I'm Pamela Berry. I reside in Grass Valley, and prior to COVID, I had the great pleasure of working for the city and the chamber here on public outreach. It has come to my attention that there was a grant opportunity that was offered by the city while Katarina was the city manager, which allowed for a $5,000 budget item that provided for citizens to come towards the council and request a grant of $250 to $1,000 with a nonprofit sponsor. I look forward to discussing this further with the council and ask for consideration that this important opportunity be revisited. I don't think it's so much about the dollar amount as it gives a pathway for people in the community to say, I can make this place better, and here's how to do it. I personally know that the Arts Council is going to have limited funding for the cultural district, and the Chamber of Commerce never has adequate funding. And in the past, these grant opportunities provided for the famous Marching Presidents and Constitution Day. It provided for promoting Halloween as a shoulder season event that really helps the retailers. And it also provided supplemental funding for the tree tour so that it could be updated, and it once again needs attention. So I respectfully ask for consideration in revisiting this funding. Thank you.
Thanks, Pamela.
Thanks, Pamela.
Any other public comment this evening? All right, hearing none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. All items listed under the consent agenda are considered to be routine in nature and will be approved by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items. Before we take action on the consent calendar, we will hear any public comment on consent calendar items only. Do we have any public comment on a consent item? Hearing none. I'm looking for a motion in a second.
I move we approve the consent agenda.
Well done, sir. I second.
Well practiced, Gary. We've got a motion by Gary, second by Daniela. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Peterson,
Yes.
Councilmember Fernandez,
Yes.
and Mayor Klein.
Yes. Moving right along. Public hearings. Is it appropriate for me to read all of this?
It's entirely up to you.
I think we're going to let Brian lead the way.
Good evening.
Brian.
This is second reading and consideration of an adoption of an ordinance to repeal and replace chapters 15.04 and 15.08 of the municipal code pertaining to California building codes and standards, which are updated every 3 years. So we've presented that at the last meeting, this second reading and adoption. Here to take any questions, and then I suppose we have to read.
No.
Oh,
We read it the first time, you don't have to read it.
oh, that's good. That's awesome.
You're off the hook, right?
Any comments? Any?
No, we have to do this.
Yeah, I have some comments. I hear Gary saying, yes, we have to do this. I agree. This is required housekeeping, state mandates. But I do want to note that I see in the staff report that it says add to the cost of building homes and non-residential buildings. And so I think all the things on the agenda tonight, I'm thinking about three things. Affordability, shocker, that's up right now. Future planning and sustainability. And so I think a lot of the things here, you know, updating building and fire codes is all really important. It's going to make us safer. But I also want to say that a safer, greener, better regulated Nevada city that only the already resourced can inhabit is not a success for me. And so I guess what I mean by saying that is, yes, we have to do this. This is a first step. But I also think that that second step, to my colleagues, is that we need to keep strengthening programs and policy that help people afford to live here, to build here, to operate businesses here. And, you know, we're already in the midst of some of those things, the pre-approved plans for the ADUs. We need to continue to look at fee waivers and reductions, the historic home compliance alternatives. I know that Gary is looking at some of that with the preservation stuff. I think we should look at phased compliance if we can, and continued access to fire hardening funds. And so I just want to say that I think, yes, we have to do this, and we need to continue to strengthen those programs that help people afford to live here.
Thanks, Daniela. Well said. Is it appropriate to take public comment on a public hearing? I figured so. In that case, I'll allow it. Do we have any public comment on this? Hey, Scott.
Hi, you guys. Scott Whalen. I'm a mechanical engineer, and this is my wheelhouse. Next month, in a couple weeks, I'm serving at the Building Standards Commission, and as you guys know, it is a triennial cycle. The energy code now is on the same triennial cycle. It used to be offset a little bit. That's handled by the Energy Commission, and so that's a unique animal because we edit that in Sacramento, but the rest of the codes are all kind of model codes, and they're edited by either OSHPD, which is the health organization, or the the Department of State Architect, or the Fire Marshal, and then that is all it. So I guess I'm coming up here to kind of reinforce what Daniela is saying is, yes, this is kind of a little bit of a housekeeping, just it's a little, you know, it's simple, but also I want to encourage you guys that you are empowered to either not accept anything that's in the mechanical, electrical, building, residential codes, or you could make them more restrictive. You know, there's not a lot going on in Sacramento other than in those agencies, and so they do expect local authorities having jurisdiction to take aim at any of the building codes if you want to make something more restrictive. I mean, obviously, you don't want to do what happened with the city of Berkeley when they banned gas, and then that preempted federal law, and that got into a suit that was overturned by the circuit court. But nonetheless, they still expect you guys to do whatever you want. So I empower you and encourage you to change anything. If there's something in there about an exhaust fan or the MERV 13, or, you know, or there's the whole thing about the new A2L refrigerants. I was speaking to the gentleman's in the back that, you know, the heat pump is the model and the baseline now, and the A2L refrigerants are now accepted by the state fire marshal, but it took like 2 cycles for them to accept it. And I'm not going to blob any more longer because I'm done with my 3 minutes. But yeah, I encourage you guys, you know, all the stuff that's in these in Title 24, you can strike it or add it. It's up to you. So thank you.
Thank you, Scott.
Thanks, Scott.
Any other public comment on this item?
I would add a clarification, if I might.
Please.
You can make them more strict, but it is extremely difficult to make them less than what the state requires. Extremely difficult.
Yeah, we can make amendments based on climate, geography, or geological conditions, like for our location, in which we have the historic building section in there. We have our wild urban interface, defensible space vegetation stuff in there. But yeah, we could lobby in Sacramento, you know, for the next cycle to make bigger changes, but some of this we have to just keep in step with, it's international, and then it's state adopted amendments, and then it gets passed down to local.
Brian, I want to lobby in Sacramento with you.
Okay.
Have you done that?
No.
Okay.
We'll look forward to that.
Yeah.
I'll take pictures.
Shall we read by title only and adopt the ordinance?
Yeah.
We need a motion on that?
Close the public hearing.
Yeah.
We're closing the public hearing now, everybody. And do I have a motion?
Yeah, I move that we hold public hearing and second reading, waive reading of ordinance in its entirety, read by title only, and adopt the ordinance, and title being ordinance number 2026-01, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Nevada City, State of California, repealing and replacing chapters 15.04 and 15.08, Title 15 of the Nevada City Municipal Code, adopting the 2025 California Building Standard Codes with local amendments. Can I get a second?
Do we have a second?
Second.
Very good. That's a motion from Danielle, a second from Gary. Roll call.
Yes. Councilmember Peterson?
Yes.
Councilmember Fernandez?
Yes.
Mayor Klein?
Yep. Thank you. Appreciate it, Brian. Nice to see you.
Thanks, Brian. I'll be in touch.
Team Supreme. Can't wait. Business item number 7 here, consider approval of master equity lease agreement with Enterprise Fleet Management. Presenting on this, we have our very own Chief Foss and some guests.
Hello. Yeah, sure. I'll be up here on the those seats. You guys can grab these two. I'll get over. Mayor, members of council, hello. I'm joined tonight by Kayla and Brittany with Enterprise Fleet Management. So we have a very slight, well, We have a very,
You got that chair, did you?
we have a very short slideshow we're gonna get to in a second. There we go. But I wanted to talk about how we got here in the first place. The PD has always been pretty good on our fleet, managing it. I knew we could do better, but we've been okay. But one day I decided to borrow a vehicle from Public Works, and we had an emergency where we had to save a family from a skunk, and so I didn't want it in my car, so I borrowed one of theirs. I thought I was
Nice
going-
of you.
well, they have a bed, so it was a truck bed. I thought I was gonna die the whole way I was driving that thing. And so we went and did a fleet evaluation and realized we really need to take some drastic measures. Through no fault of Shane's, they were doing everything they could to maintain what they had. But we had fallen so far behind that I knew we needed to try to adapt to some type of other fleet management skill. That's where we ran into Kayla and Brittany here, and we have developed this plan, which we'll go over the slideshow.
Ready?
Yep, ready. And Kayla will take it from here, and then I'll jump in a little bit.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kayla Hendershot. It's very nice to meet you all. Thank you for having us today. Like Chief Boss mentioned, we have been working together over the past few months to evaluate what a partnership would look like with Enterprise Fleet Management and Nevada City. Thank you. So today I'll go over a little bit about who we are, who we work with, what we do, and then we'll review a financial analysis about how we believe this will fit in for the city. And then at the end, I'd love to answer any questions that you might have. So Enterprise Fleet Management, we work with over 2,400 government agencies all throughout the nation, and we have 60 local offices to support from a local perspective. So Brittany and I work out of our local office in Roseville. If you guys do move forward with partnering with us, Brittany would be your dedicated point of contact. So she would be coming up here a few times a year to meet with the team, help evaluate the fleet and fleet plan for the coming years. We also hold contracts with Sourcewell, Tips, and E&I. So Enterprise is a selected fleet vendor on these contracts that you can piggyback off of when you decide, if you decide to work with us. These are some local cities that we work with all throughout the California area. Some local ones like Grass Valley, Yuba City, City of Lincoln. Really the main reason why agencies and cities like yours decide to partner with Enterprise Fleet Management is because we know government agencies can buy vehicles very well. With Enterprise, we have about 2 million vehicles in our rental fleet, so we're really good at selling vehicles. So it sort of creates this perfect storm where we can help shorten your life cycle a little bit and get some equity back in your vehicles by turning them over a little bit sooner. So that's why cities just like yours decide to work with us to help manage their vehicles. In meeting with Chief Oss and evaluating the current fleet of vehicles for the city, there's really 3 main objectives that we're looking to accomplish. The first one would be to lower the average age of the fleet of vehicles. As he mentioned, there are some vehicles that are quite aged and need to be replaced, so we'll be looking at lowering the average age from current 10 years down to about 5 years. We'll also reduce operating costs in doing so. We know that newer vehicles will cost less to maintain and operate, and will have a significantly lower maintenance expense. These newer vehicles are also going to be much safer for your employees with the increased safety technologies that they're going to come with. This will also help you guys implement a more fixed maintenance cost program. We do have a maintenance network that the city would get access to, so that way all the vehicles will run through that. Helps with a more fixed and consistent budget year over year. To my next point, the more manageable vehicle budget. When we're consistently replacing vehicles on a set life cycle, it'll help know exactly what the city needs to forecast for the budget every single year. That's why agencies like to work with us, because you have a more dependable and forecastable budget. With these 3 goals, we now have the financial side of it of how we're going to accomplish those. So if you'd like to go.
Yeah, I'll just jump in a little bit. And this first slide here kind of just goes over the next 5 years of what we're going to be replacing, what vehicles and we're at. As I mentioned before, probably our first priority is Public Works. So we have a total of 28 vehicles in our city fleet. The first year, we're going to swap out 10 of those. So 6 of them will come from Public Works. I think we have right now designated 3 for police and 1 for wastewater. So that's our first 10. The next year, without getting into this too much, we replace 8 vehicles. The following year, 6 vehicles, then 3 vehicles, 0, and so on and so forth until we have a more modernized fleet. So you can see here, if you have any questions on it, it kind of gives a rundown. We have 14 different vehicle types. with a total of 28 vehicles, and this is our replacement. And the next slide, I think, is probably the most telling of what we're looking at here. So here's comparison to me is the best part of what we have done in the past and what we're looking at doing. You've all seen me come here when I'm looking to buy a vehicle. My vehicles, every time I come, are up to about $110,000 per vehicle, for one vehicle. That's the vehicle and the outfitting cost. So they're extraordinarily expensive. Our past practice has been we buy those with general fund. We buy those with our dollars. And to me, it's always been, well, it's not too bad because for the capital, we keep them for about 10 years. So $10,000, a little over per year, not horrendous, but it is what it is. They're very expensive vehicles. We don't have the manpower or the ability to say, hey, at a certain point, they're actually worth returning because we're going to start having decreased fuel mileage. Our maintenance expenses are going up astronomically. And what we'll see on, I think it's on this slide, or no, we do have it on a different slide, but another part to talk about is the resale value. This first year, when they take these first 10 vehicles, they're hoping to get $1,000 per vehicle. That's how bad they are. And then our later vehicles, 4 or 5 years down the road, we're hoping to get $37,000 to $40,000 per vehicle. So we have equity in our vehicles that we're returning. So we're actually getting some return on what we put into the vehicles. $1,000, we're just giving them away because we keep them so long that they're barely maintaining on the roadway anymore. Also, some of these are all estimates on this one. So if you look at the maintenance section, here it says for average is $64,000. I believe that's low. My budget for just my fleet is $50,000, and I'm at $25,000 year to date right now for vehicle maintenance, just on maintaining my fleet for mechanical. As they get older, they start costing substantially more just to keep them on the road. So this plan will drastically reduce this. As you can see, the maintenance is estimated at $32,000, so about in half. Our fuel expense will go down. It's better for the environment. The fleet, just the appearance for the fleet for the entire city does look better as well. So the 10-year savings they have here is about $200,000, but even if it was status quo, the return on what we're getting is so that's just a benefit, an added benefit to something that we're already getting. That's a huge service for all of our people. And then other than that, yeah, I think that's it for these 2 slides. Did I miss something there, Kayla?
I think you did great.
Thank you. I think I did.
The next slide here, this is our final slide, just reviewing the overall impact of the total partnership. So I'll go over a few things with you. Just the current situation of the fleet today. Over 41% of the vehicles are over 10 years or older. So by reducing that down to a 5-year average, we're going to significantly help reduce your operating expenses. 9.3 years is the current average age. 17.5 years is the time it would take to cycle out the entire fleet at the current acquisition rate you're going. So we're going to be able to significantly improve that while freeing up some capital in the budget for you. With the objectives that we've just reviewed, again, shortening the life cycle, providing a lower sustainable fleet cost, and then just from the salvage of 10 vehicles in the first year, we will free up about $35,000 for the city. But again, as we move forward to replacing vehicles more often, that capital will increase from the equity coming back from these vehicles. Some safety features in here as well. 3 vehicles that currently predate the anti-lock brake standardization of 2007. So that's something that's very important to have for your employees. 6 vehicles predate electronic stability control, and then 12 vehicles predate standardization of the backup camera. So the plan, beginning of the plan, the first 10 vehicles we're replacing are the 10 oldest vehicles in the fleet, so we'll help significantly increase the safety as well. The Sourcewell contract, we'll be able to piggyback off of the Sourcewell contract for access to all of our services, and then overall help create a long-term sustainability plan for the city through the partnership.
And then just bring up those other photos real quick if we could. And then just going over the numbers here, for the first year we get 10 vehicles at $176,000, which because we're leasing them out, that's substantial return. That goes up slowly over the course of the next 4 years to about $349,000. We are asking for $400,000 at the discretion of the city manager because this could adjust as we buy more vehicles through the coming years, because this is a 10-year. This is a 10-year agreement, although we can step out of this agreement at any time. We would just maintain the leases. So at any time we decide this isn't working, we can always just not buy any more vehicles through Enterprise, and we would just maintain the current leases that we have. So I just wanted to show, kind of to bring this all the way home, some of the vehicles currently in the fleet. It takes a minute.
And you're doing this right now because you don't like Shane?
Shane's doing, actually, I'm very impressed that Shane has accomplished a lot with very, very little. So, I don't know if it's gonna come up there, but you can just take my word for
okay,
it.
we saw
We saw the picture in the packet.
There's, many of the vehicles have almost no interior, they're in very poor state of repair, and to get them back up to where they would need to be, it would just be astronomical, so we're good, yeah, it's okay. Any questions?
I have a question. I know that we have a bit of a mandate about EV and hybrids. Can you talk a little bit about that, and are we prioritizing those?
So anytime that we are looking at a vehicle, we don't have a big fleet, but anytime we are looking at a vehicle that has the option of being a hybrid, I'm not looking too much at EVs just yet for most of our fleet, just because of what we have up here in our power grid and everything else. But as you know, our lieutenant's vehicle, we did purchase a hybrid vehicle. Anything that we think a hybrid vehicle can fit into the equation, we will prioritize. Oh, they're up now. And we will prioritize those, and we will constantly be reevaluating what we're ordering from Enterprise. So this contract doesn't stick us into what we're actually going to buy. There is that spreadsheet of vehicles, but we'll always be, hey, what's new on the market? Some of those do have substantial cost increase, so we always have to consider that. But if they work, and for like the lieutenant's vehicle, it's amazing, because if they live local and they're using it short mileage, it almost doesn't use gas. I mean, it charges at work, charges at the home, and the gas usage on it is almost nil. A lot of the heavier equipment is still diesel or gas.
Sure, and that makes sense. Do you recall what the goal was for that in terms of hybrid vehicles? There was a percentage by a certain year. Does anybody
The city?
remember?
I can speak to that. So Brittany Smith, Client Strategy Manager with Enterprise. So with the mandate for the CARB regulation, when it comes to buying diesel or gas for government entities, starting January 27, it'll be a 50%. So 50% of your purchases that are of the larger scale of vehicles will have to be EVs. Now, that is a very loose date only because there's not an EV 1 ton in the market. However, there are EV half tons. So we'll strategically work with the city to see what's most beneficial for them and how we can make sure that we're within that regulation.
Awesome, and I imagine most places, especially small places like us, don't have the EV infrastructure necessarily to support.
That is
mandate.
correct. With Enterprise, we're partnered with ChargePoint, so when it comes to planning for that infrastructure, we can definitely set up a meeting and get that established for you. Another piece of that is with the 2027 date, that is for the rural areas in counties, and so Nevada City would fall under that date. The counties that with larger populations, that started in 2024. So
Awesome, thank you so much, Brittany.
So does the cost include all the emergency equipment outfitting?
So the cost includes the upfitting for all the emergency vehicles. It includes the upfitting for public works vehicles, so like the headache bars or the tool racks, all that type of thing is all included and installed prior to the delivery of the vehicle. It does not include the maintenance cost, so we would be paying maintenance still. That is tracked through their software, so we would track it and see if we're having an actual reduction like we would expect. Same with the fuel expense. We would use the same gas stations we're using now, but we do track it through the software to see if we're seeing a reduction in fuel.
Radios and everything?
Everything, not radios. So for the patrol vehicles, it would be everything up to the radios, not the guns, obviously, but the gun mounts, the storage mounts, the light bars, the push bars, all that equipment.
And the snow plow?
That is included as well, yes. We did make it for 3 of our vehicles.
I would never
Was
let
it
put
3?
a snow plow on my new
4
truck.
4 vehicles equipped with snow plows.
Yeah, okay, great. I have one other slide, one other comment or question, and it's just a personal peeve of mine. But why do people continue to put up PowerPoint slides that are unreadable by people that are looking at them?
that's intentional.
It always feels like it is. It always feels like it is when you put a spreadsheet up there that I can't read and you tell me what it says.
Yeah.
So I'm just never going to let that go by. Everybody knows it.
And he doesn't. He never lets it go by. Yeah, I have a little bit more to say.
Go for it, yeah.
Yeah, I just want to say that this is less to you guys. I totally support this. I think this is a fantastic move forward. But I want to say that I think the city employees have been driving unsafe vehicles and have been carrying our institutional neglect. And I'm sorry for that. And I'm sorry it's taken us so long. And I'm glad that we are finally here because you deserve better, because you've been dealing with this. And also it's affected our reliability of services too. And so I think this is not just going to improve our bottom line in terms of cost, but also in the way that we carry ourselves throughout the city, and also like whether that's visually, physically with more pride, but also with greater services. So I'm really pleased about that. I support this, but I also want us to be thoughtful in the direction that we go in terms of like the fleet that we're building. I want us to think about, the environment. I want us to think about, fiscally and also just ethically in terms of taking care of our staff around this too. So absolutely support it.
Thanks, Danielle. This, I think, thank you for the presentation and everything. This, I think, is mostly going to be a question for Chief Foss, because you two you're in business. I just heard a lot of upsides to this. Is it all upsides?
I can't find it. I mean, I think it's a win-win situation for us. I think it's something we probably should have adopted a long time ago. I think there is benefits to purchasing a vehicle if you have staff that's able to do all that they're doing. So if you have a fleet staff that you have within your own department, possibly it's better to do what we've been doing. Our system is completely antiquated, and I don't see a downside to it. I did call several other agencies that are using Enterprise Fleet, and nobody has had anything negative to say about it.
Yeah.
All positive.
Talk to Grass Valley. And,
Yeah.
And if I may, Enterprise Fleet has been in business for like decades, right? Everybody knows Enterprise because of the rental, but Fleet has been around since.
Correct, yeah, 60 years, and Enterprise actually started as a fleet company. Rental was the second line of business, so this is our bread and butter.
All right.
Mayor, if I could.
Oh, yeah, by all means. Is it about the slides again?
No, it's not about,
Proceed.
I only do that once unless they come back again. No, as you might suspect, I've managed a few fleets in my time. And we don't have the maintenance, and so we end up with Shane changing the water pumps, and he's probably got more important things to do than that. So without the structure to support the vehicles that you have, it just gets more expensive, particularly as you put them on life support and keep investing money until ultimately, and street sweepers are like the worst for this, ultimately you have put more into maintenance than you paid for the original cost of the vehicle.
And then the time you're putting into maintenance.
It's all combined, and
Yeah.
and this allows us to turn over vehicles, keep the fleet fresh, keep it safe, keep it on top of it, and allows our staff to do the work that's more important than changing the water pumps. Although
That's right.
So
Are you going to miss the water pumps, Shane?
No, not at all.
I hear your words, but there's a sadness in your eyes. Do we have any public comment on this subject? Any public comment on this? Okay. Thank you so much. We have a
yeah,
and a.
I can do that. I move, let's see, that we adopt a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute a master equity lease agreement with Enterprise Fleet Management and execute purchase orders for the leasing of vehicles with an annual cost of up to $400,000.
I second.
It's a motion from Danielle, a second from Gary. Roll call vote.
Councilmember Peterson?
Yes.
Councilmember Fernandez?
Yes.
Mayor Klein?
Yes. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody.
We'll see you again.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much.
Shane gets first pick.
Sadness in my eyes.
Oh, buddy. It's Brian.
I Again,
This is business item 8, receive an update on the water and wastewater rate study and initiate a Proposition 218 process with public engagement, noticing and hearings to consider rate adjustments. Hi, Brian.
Hello. So we're going to bring in the consultant. I'll just mention the consultants really helped us a lot. They actually got the grant to fund the study, and they are experts in this field, and we're just fortunate to have their help because one reason we're where we are right now without having updated rates in quite a while is because we just staff or I didn't have the capability to do this. It's finance. It's much different than engineering, what I regularly do. So super appreciative for the help. And so Sarah Bixler, Jean Thompson, who were here with us last time, are on Zoom, along with Abigail Seaman and Samuel Rodriguez. But they've gone back and taken a look at the items that you specifically requested last time and looked at the rates. And so we're here to make another short presentation and determine if you're ready to move forward with public engagement with the Prop 218 process, which would include quite a bit of public noticing and a public workshop and all that. So I'll turn it over to our CAC.
Hi, members of council, can you hear me and can you see my screen?
Yes. Hello.
Okay, you've got to tell me if it's too small. I think there's a zoom feature on here if you
The quality of your voice is a little muffled.
Promise.
If you have any means of clearing that up, that'd be great.
sorry?
Come to your microphone.
You sound a little bit muffled to our ears here. If there's any kind of microphone adjustment you'd be able to make that would make your voice clearer, that'd be appreciated.
Are you still there?
Maybe? How about this?
Sounds marginally better. We'll take it.
Okay. Well, members of the Nevada City Council, thank you so much for having us again, if only virtually. And here we are, second meeting in a row to talk about the water and sewer rates. We want to thank you so much for the feedback that you gave us in the last meeting. And if anybody missed the last meeting, my name is Abigail Seaman, and I'm here with Sarah and Jean, and we are with Rural Community Assistance Corporation. We conducted a water and wastewater rate study for the city using grant funds. And let Sarah and Jean say a quick hello.
Good evening, City of Nevada City. Thanks for having us again. My name is Sarah Bixler, and a couple weeks ago I presented on the water rate study for the city. I'm a small utility project manager 3, and my contact information is here. You're welcome to reach out to us if you have questions specifically. So we put our contact information here, and I'll hand it over to Jean.
Hi, I'm Jean Thompson. I also thank you, City Council, for having us again to present our findings and also for those that weren't here last time, I am the Assistant Field Manager with the Rural Community Assistance Corporation. We presented, as Sarah said, last council meeting, and we're here to present again. And thank you for having us.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thanks, guys. So, summary of the feedback that we heard from the last council meeting. Generally, I think there was some sticker shock on the rate increases, and we definitely hear that. We heard to look at lowering the proposed rate increases by cutting or deferring costs where possible, and we worked closely with staff on that. And we heard avoiding front-loading rate increases. So we'll look at that today. We also heard that we need to consider affordability concerns across the city, so not just median household income. We think there was a really great question asked in the last meeting, not just the median, but how many households will be affected in this high-risk category with the proposed rate. So we've got some information for you on that. We heard that there is a great need for public outreach and revised communication. We heard that some of our terms might have been a little bit too technical, or we may have gotten into the weeds on a couple of things. So we hope to keep it pretty short and sweet and high level. And we'll certainly hope to work with Gary and the rest of the council as we try to communicate this to the public soon. Another piece was to research the monthly billing option. I want to get a couple short things out of the way. So a low-income rate assistance program. So low-income rate assistance programs are implemented across the state, but they have lots of restrictions. So Prop 218 says that when you bill a customer, you have to bill them the exact cost to serve them water. That means you can't subsidize one customer class. You can't subsidize low-income users by charging non-low-income people more, basically. So it cannot come from the water fund. Basically, a low-income rate assistance program has to be funded from non-rate revenues or donations. And if you look in the memo that's included in your packet, I believe there's some details on how that might work. People could bring in their CalFresh eligibility, or their like PG&E Cares. They qualify for another utility program, and that might make them eligible for a program in Nevada City. And you would have to kind of set a discount amount based on the amount of funding available. When I say donations, Sonoma County, for example, has a box at the bottom of their water bill that says if you want to add in some extra money to fund a bill paying program for low-income users. And I think that's pretty successful there. So that's an option. Staff has said that they're going to research what funding might be available for a program like this if the council is interested, and they'll follow up as part of the mid-year budget adjustment period. The other piece we were asked to look at was the possibility of monthly billing. And so staff looked at that. We're thinking that that would require full-time meter reading staff. So in order to bill monthly, we would have to read meters monthly, right? And so thinking that's not feasible under the current budget. So we'll go through water and then wastewater, and then give you lots of room for a discussion, and hope that you seek to select an option tonight. So the biggest hurdle facing the water fund is that operating expenses exceed revenues by $368,795. That means that the minimum rate increase to avoid contributions from other funds in the first year is 45%. That's very similar to what we presented before. So this no CIP option was at 48%. We also had a CIP option that was 1 year deferred at 65%. Actually, both of those options include 5 years of asset replacement funding. So that's about $200,000 a year just for this extra 3%. So front-loading rate increases is really largely to resolve this deficit. And if we don't resolve it, then we're going to have to find unrestricted funds from another place. And staff is still researching whether that's possible, and they've said as part of the mid-year budget review, they might be able to come up with an answer on that. So 10% annual increases. This is what it would look like just to fund the operating costs of this blue bar. And here's your revenue. This was some grant funding that you got in FY 2025 is why it's a little bit higher, but In general, there's a big deficit between revenue and expense. And if we do 10% per year, rates will not fund operating costs in any of the 5 years. We'll almost get there in 2030, but will not quite get there. And in order to make up the difference, we would need $907,550 from other funds, which is spread across 5 years, plus any capital funding. You know, since there's no capital improvement plan in here, no asset replacement, if anything breaks, that would also have to come from other funds. So that's a pretty risky option. We'd like to propose 25% annual increases. If we from unrestricted funds like general funds in year 1 only, plus any capital funding required. To do this option, we have to defer the CIP to year 5. And you can see that revenue exceeds expenses for these last 3 years, but recall that the city has over $15 million in anticipated capital improvement needs for water, of which at least $1.1 million was hoped to be funded by ratepayers over the next 5 years. So if there's anything that breaks in this 5-year period, or any project that needs to happen, this is what that revenue gap would cover. And also, if you, your attorney at the last meeting said that loaning funds is safer than contributing funds, and so that would also repay the $163,000 that you need to contribute. If we look at the 25% per year, it goes from $36.66 to $45.54 for a typical single-family monthly bill in the first year, but it goes up to $111.19 by year 5. We looked at affordability, not just at the median household income stage, but we looked at what is known as the 5 quintiles, of income that is published as part of that survey. So it's broken into the bottom 20% of households, the second quintile, the third quintile, all the way to the highest 20%. So if there are 1,300 households in Nevada City, then there are about 261 households in each 20% bucket. So the lowest 20% is 14,000, the highest is 240,000. And we looked at how this bill would impact each of these buckets of income. So with this 25% per year, up to 521 households falling under high risk of affordability would fall under high risk of affordability by year 4. So you can see by year 4, 2 buckets are paying more than 2.5% of their income toward their water bill. Oh, I forgot to mention back here, 25% increases is $163,000 in year 1 only. If we did 20% increases, that would require about $40,000 more, and it would be spread over year 1 and year 2. If we compare what happens between front-loading rate increases and trying to do this even amount, you can see that in the first year, the single-family bill is lower than what is proposed with the 48% by about $6. But by the end, you can see if we front load in the first year, then we can increase it less in the outer years, right? But if we have to compound these things, then they get to be much higher by the end of year 5. So that's kind of the risk that we take with delaying rate increases now. I do want to point out that water rates have not been raised in the last 9 years, right, since, was it 2017? And so this $45.54 represents raising water rates 2.4% over the last 9 years. And this $51.99, which is the 48%, represents an annual rate increase of 4% per year over 9 years, which is basically what CPI is. So we would expect it to be around this $51.99 if the city had been keeping up with inflation. So I'd like you to consider that proposal along with our original two proposals for the water fund. And certainly there are other options. There are really infinite numbers we can put in here, but we're trying to come up with the best ones for the water fund. So let me go to wastewater really quick. It's a much better picture, and I think the picture makes more sense on this one. So the wastewater fund has a $60,176 operating and debt deficit, meaning that operating costs plus your debt payments will exceed revenues by $60,000. The minimum rate increase to avoid contributions from other funds in year one is 7%. So that's much better picture, right? Of course, we don't, in this scenario, we would have to raise rates higher in the outer years. So I'm not saying this is the proposal, but it is the minimum for year one. Our previous proposal, if you recall, we looked at spreading, there's a 3-year capital improvement plan that city staff gave us. And so there are projects that are hoping to be completed between 2026 and 2028. So we looked at funding all those costs over 3 years versus over 5 years, and the difference was about $8 in the first year in the single family bill, and about $10 by year 5, from 146 to 136, almost $11. Both of those options include 5 years of asset replacement funding. Our new proposal is 12% annual increases. There is operating cost and debt service in each of these years. There's also asset replacement in each of these years. The capital improvement plan, we're proposing to defer it 1 year. If we went to 10% annual increases, that would mean deferring the CIP 2 years. But in either case, there are no additional funds required to do that. And I promise I'll summarize this all at the end so you don't have to keep all these options in your head. If we compare the 5-year CIPs, that was kind of like the best option that we presented last time with these new smoothed increases at 12% per year. It is lower than the original proposal each year. So by the end of 5 years, it's like $11 savings. Since wastewater rates have been raised recently, the affordability is a little bit trickier on this one. You can see in year one, those 2 buckets are higher than 2.5% of their income. So more people fall under this affordability risk sooner on the wastewater fund than the water fund. But looking at this, you might have a good picture of how many people might come to you for the low income rate assistance program if they're not getting assistance from some other program. So just a reminder of what we have to do to raise rates. Proposition 218 says we have to align them as best we can with the cost of service. They can only be used to fund the utility service, so we can't marry funds back and forth between water and wastewater. We can't subsidize one thing with another. Ratepayers have to be noticed 45 days in advance of any proposed rate increase. Rates are adopted on a 5-year timeline, so that's why we're looking at a 5-year scale. And any ratepayer against the proposed rates may submit a written protest. At the hearing, you would tally written protests, and if greater than 50%, or I think around 500 protests are submitted, then the rates cannot pass. So this is the draft Prop 218 notice. Of course, we would fill it in with the council's preferred option. We plan to include the date of a community workshop in the notice, which is to be determined right now. And what we put in the notice, as I said in the last meeting, is the highest rate that council can choose to adopt. So I would encourage you to be conservative if possible. The proposal is to receive community feedback and present again to council at the Prop 218 hearing. And given that feedback, you can certainly choose to adopt a lower rate than what was noticed. And I think that's a good strategy with the public if there's certain opposition. And so to sum up the new proposal with the 25% rate increases and the proposed 12% rate increases on water, we've brought it down about $22 a month or $44 bi-monthly for the single family bill in year one. Again, the problem with the 25% is that it's higher in year 5 for water, so something to consider, and that other funds would be required. So here is the summary. If there's anything else you'd like me to pull up, I'd be happy to, but I just wanted to summarize these things for you and let you discuss. And welcome any questions. Thanks.
I'll just try to just say a couple comments. We spent some time looking at this. I think it was Councilmember Fleming asked to look at the 10%, and we tried that. It didn't catch up with operating expenses, so it stayed in the red. And then we tried other increases and kind of determined that the 25% increase per year would get us there, but as Abigail mentioned, it does end up higher at the 5th year than one of our previous options. So you know, when we present this, we can start with a rate structure that we know will work, and then go into workshops. But however you want to present it, I guess what we're recommending is the 25% increase as an option, or a second option would be the previous option 1, which resulted in a lower number by the 5th year.
Really big question. Go for it.
A really big question. So the CIP, what is this? Okay, so a lot of this driving this is funding the CIP over 5 years. What is that CIP based on? How did you arrive at those numbers? Did you do a study of the system and determine what a 5-year capital program was required so that we could validate that number?
When we update the CIP each year, we do cost estimates, but it's this amount of funding only funds like a small percentage of the CIP. We still would have to go after grants, but it allows us to have matching funds for grants.
No, I understand that. I understand. That's not the question I'm asking. Because I do understand that there's no way that, you know, I've built a lot of capital improvement programs. I've been deeply involved in the development of this capital. So they are often wish lists. I understand that. And there's no way we'd ever generate enough revenue to do everything in a CIP. I've never seen that happen, and would never expect to see. But what I want to know is the CIP, that what is driving the priorities for establishing the projects in the CIP, because that is driving the cost of fees in many ways. So how do we know that what we're saying, this CIP project, and then this CIP project, and then this CIP project, we need to fund? How do we know that?
We've done several studies. We did operations and maintenance assessment. We did using a consultant, and then every year we look at our age class maps, which are these maps that show where our oldest pipes are, and we see these pipes. We see the inside of them because we're always working on them, and then we meet with the water and wastewater treatment plant operator to determine, you know, where where they're having trouble, especially looking 5 years ahead, where these systems gonna start failing and need to be replaced. And so we do it every year, and it is an estimate. It's not construction bids and hard numbers, because we don't have plans drawn up. But
I do know that there's been a lot of attention paid to the wastewater side because of all the failures. And I do know there were some very detailed studies on wastewater because we had over 100 violations in 5 years. But I'm not sure that that's happened with the water system. And I'm not arguing the need. I do know we have very old pipes and that it is extremely costly to replace what we have because it hasn't been replaced in a very long time. But if there is any place where these fees get reduced, because we can't, operations are there. We have our limited, in the water system, we have $20,000 in reserves, which still is mind-boggling to me that we could be in that position. But if there's any place where these would be reduced, it would be in the CIP, because we're trying to generate funds to build out a significant portion of the CIP over 5 years, correct?
that's correct.
So
It
if
does
there's
really
any,
capture what we've adjusted in this rate structure. So you can see there's no CIP at all from FY25 all the way through FY29. And this extra revenue is to fund something if it breaks, right? And to pay back the $161,181. We are really trying to adjust for the operating expense, which will continue to go up because of inflation, aside from the CIP. The CIP is only about $228,000 a year in terms of what cash the staff have asked us to commit to rate revenues, and that's only occurring in year 5. So it really is just
so that flat line is a CIP. I know that Brian does a water project every year, tries to do a water project every year, but it looks like, what is that, $500,000 a year goes into?
No, it's this brick right here. This is a $200,000 brick. This is your minimum fund balance target, this line, what your savings should be. This is where you are now, around $20,000 with your water fund balance in the bank. And then that goes up with the rate increases.
Okay.
So potentially you could not do 25% on year 5, you know.
You just run the risk that if something breaks.
No. We've been rolling the dice for a very long time.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. That's very helpful.
Some good news is the water board actually approached us and told us that we're now considered an at-risk agency.
Oh,
and it's
good
because
news.
Lovely. That's great news.
so it makes us eligible for grants that were previously not available to us. So this happened this year, and the reason for being at risk is mostly because they look at our rates. We turn in all these reports every year, and they can see that we're not generating enough revenue for maintenance.
Yeah.
So it just makes us more eligible for grants.
They saw photos of our fleet vehicles and said we were at risk. Thank you, Gary, for trying to come at it a different way. I appreciate your creative thinking around this. I'm just going to name the obvious thing, and that this sucks.
Yeah.
Like, we're not in a neutral economy right now. People feel burdened. I feel burdened. I know some of my colleagues feel burdened, all kinds of burdened, rent burdened, insurance burdened, utility burdened, health insurance, food burdened, gas burdened, all these different kinds of burdens. So, I think underfunding all of this has allowed us some temporary relief, but now we have to deal with it. before we get into a crisis, which nobody wants, and that could be really, really, really expensive. So I think weighing those things of having to move forward and also being in an era of, you know, economic struggle for a lot of people, we're kind of in an impossible situation. So I just want to name that. So as we go into this process, this 218 process, I want to make sure, like Gary has said, that our community engagement is real, really real. I want to make sure that it's accessible. When I read that public notice, it's a lot of words. I would love an easier way to get information to people. I would love for renters to be engaged just as much as homeowners. From all different socioeconomic backgrounds. I think that's important. And yeah, I do think that we should continue to seriously explore affordability options and assistance programs, as mentioned in that slide that staff will review funding availability. Listen, this is city's responsibility to make sure that we have water and infrastructure to carry it in and out, but I also believe we have a responsibility to make sure that people can afford to live here and use the water. So we're just gonna have to figure that out, and I think there's no easy way about this. We just have to move forward. I appreciate the consultant team for coming up with some alternative options. I do think, you know, the 12% on the second one looks good. The first one's a little hard for me in that 5th year, and then also just 25% seems like a lot. But I don't know if there's a way of getting around it.
If I could just also add a couple of things. You're absolutely right. And this is what happens when fees aren't raised in a timely manner over a long period of time, and because folks don't want to burden people, and then ultimately you end up burdening everyone in a larger way. I would also like to, a couple other points I think is really critical here is we cannot conserve our way out of this. This is not a situation. We absolutely should look at conservation programs that we're not using now. I certainly, perhaps the water board would be willing to work with us on the grants to, on our wastewater treatment plant site, where there's some really interesting opportunities for water reuse that are coming, except it is extremely expensive. But if we could move in that direction, we do need to look at that. But this is very much tied to public safety and environmental issues. I'm not kidding. I was here in the decades ago when the water treatment plant fell in the creek. It was a complete collapse of the system. The city was fined millions of dollars. Between 2017, I think 2022, there were over 100 violations that resulted in nearly $1 million worth of fines. And the water board said, don't pay us the fines, take that money and put it in your system. But this is the quality, the environmental quality, which is very critical. We care about that in our community. We know that. The other piece of that is maintaining a system of water that has adequate pressure and adequate flow to protect our community from wildfire. And we have to have that as well. So it's a systemic issue, baseline stuff. The liquids that go in and the liquids that go out are just absolutely fundamental. And it has not been adequately managed financially in the past. We're in a much better place with the wastewater, and we did make an increase there. This is a less increase because there was an increase made around 2022, 2023. I got into this because I wanted to protect the future of this city. That's why I got into this, and I've been working on that ever since with fire and budgets and water, and now here we are, and this is very much about how we care for the future of this city and how we fund absolute necessities for public health and safety. So that's all right.
And combined with the future of the city is the people within it too, right?
So
Not
always,
just infrastructure.
always.
Yeah. Can we ask the folks at home, the consultants, to stop sharing screen for us, please? Thank you so much.
So, Brian, the ask here is to pick rates, but the highest possible rates they could be, so that to bring to the public, to get their commentary on it, get their thoughts and feelings on the rates that we've chosen, and then possibly adjust from there, and then set the new rates. Is that right?
Yeah, that's,
It's not the highest possible rate.
Well, the highest,
Well-
the highest that we would, that it would
We
go.
asked the consultant to adjust from their original assessment,
Right.
and that's what we're looking at tonight in our staff report with the 25%.
Right.
So what we decide tonight, we would go no higher than.
right, no higher than, we're not, we're just trying to cover our costs.
Yeah.
And then we're trying to have some reserves and be able to work on the CIP options, which, as you see, we aren't even getting there until year 5. But that's what we'd like to do with your consent tonight, is get, select a rate option that can go into a letter.
Yeah. And I agree with Danielle that that letter looks like the kind of letter that people's eyes will glaze over. So it's probably worth putting some large graphics on it that would give someone an idea just glancing at it, like, oh, this, I should read this. This is important. It matters. Because they'll find out soon enough that it does.
Mr. Mayor, if I could interject on that point, we have discussed internally what we need to do in addition to that letter. And one of the things we've talked about is a frequently asked questions with answers brochure. Have used that effectively in another city. And we're continuing to internally dialogue on what else can we do. And it may be that we end up after the first public hearing and the first community meeting.
Yeah.
That we hear other input from the community that we need to address, which would generate yet either another brochure of some type or another community meeting. So just to address that we do have that on our radar.
It's not just one community meeting and then we're locked in.
Right.
Necessarily.
And I will be very active in the public meetings.
Sure.
And,
Can you speak into your microphone? Can you be active in that?
No, I don't want to. No, I've spoken to Joan about this, and I have, I've done this before. But it's really critical the way we communicate this, and I want to be very active in that. And Councilmember Fernandez is welcome to join me in public meetings, as we've been very successful in the past, but certainly how we communicate this is really critical. And I also think it's something that our new city manager should not have to just here you go and you're on your own. That's the deep into the pool thing, and I think we want to. So we need to move this, and she needs to come up and speed and everything. So I'm happy to carry this with working with the council and staff, so that we get this out to the community in the best possible way.
Do you feel like there's sufficient direction?
I would like to add one other component to your direction for consideration, and that is that we not get into this situation again, and that you direct staff to create a schedule for beginning the review process probably in year 4 of this increase. I've been in many communities, small communities, where they've been in the same situation, and getting on a schedule is extremely helpful and prevents having this discussion.
Let's do that. Shall we do that, team?
As a gift
Yes.
to the future.
Do you want to consider comment?
Sure. Do we have a public comment on this item? We will.
There'll be plenty to come.
Yep. Okay. Are we offering rate opinions now?
I've been through this up and down and had some conversations with Joan and looked at it. And thank you to the consultants. You did hear what we had to say. And I think this might have been a challenge for you to do what you've done, but to give us a rate that had a lesser impact on our community. We are deferring risk. It's really important to understand. But I do think that the 25%, the one that is the rate schedule that is included in our staff report gives us a chance to cover the cost, to move forward, to provide ongoing maintenance and operations, and rebuild reserves. And so I would recommend the water rate that is listed at 25% and the wastewater that's at 12% annually.
I also support those.
Yeah. There's your direction.
And something, I'd like to make a request of staff that when we gear up to engage the public, many of us are engaged with different factions of the public. And so if you can let us know so that we can help spread the word and get the word out, I think that would be good.
Absolutely.
Great.
And I might also add, I think the consultant made a suggestion that they could look at what other locations have done in terms of managing lower income households, going into the public if we had some information. Not that we're setting that program, but that we would have a range of options to speak to our community about. We know that this is an issue in our community, and I think having those kinds of options for discussion going forward would be very, very helpful.
Right. I think just for clarity, the slide said that staff will research funding availability.
Yep. I'd still like to have options.
Yep, agreed.
Finish the research and give me some options.
Yep.
Thank you. And thank you for the presentations, consultants.
Thank you.
You guys you guys do a great job, and we're not here to kill the messengers ever.
Oh, well, thank you so much. Pleasure to be here, and thanks for the direction.
Thank you.
Yep.
Good night. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Is there a vote on that or just direction provided?
We need direction, but I would ask our finance person, Steve Erlinson, is online, if he had any comments to
Enlighten
add.
us, Steve. Tell us how to do this.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and council members. No, I think the choice that you've recommended tonight is the best choice. It's probably the one that, even though it's still high, is the most probably, for lack of a better word, palatable for anybody to accomplish what I think what we probably need to strive for. I know it's not an easy decision on your part, but from a finance perspective, I'm fully supportive of the direction that you've given staff tonight. And I thank you for that.
Thank you, Stephen.
Thanks, Steve.
Good to see you.
Yep.
Yeah. We just got to really communicate to the community why this is so absolutely necessary and why we'll take responsibility now.
Yeah, we will not kick the can.
Do I have a motion?
No motion.
I have no motion. I'm immobile.
Going immobile.
Reports, future agenda items. Joan, do you have anything?
Just very briefly, we will have a meeting prior to February 16th, but I do want to put out there that the offices will be closed on February 16th for President's Day. I'll do a reminder at the next council meeting. And I just wanted to say, at the last council meeting, you approved the contract with our new city manager, Carrie Wright, and I wanted to let you know that we are integrating her wherever possible during this transition time over the next month and getting her up to speed on as much as possible. So I just wanted to let you know that that is happening and it's working very well.
Great. How often is she gonna find herself visiting here before?
We have 4 dates scheduled during February, and if there's an opportunity on her schedule to add to that, we would look at doing that.
Thanks, John.
Also, Brian, thank you for that presentation. I forgot to share gratitude.
You can thank him when you go lobbying in Sacramento.
You have anything?
Yeah, well, let's see. I wanted to thank the mayor for Council Fest 2026 in the chambers here at the gallery opening, and we were quite musically appreciating. I have a bass player sitting over here in the corner who was sitting in with the latest version of Golden Shoulders. The mayor was an outstanding performance and a really amazing evening in the council chamber. So thank you for that. It was great. And again, the art gallery is looking good. I think it's important the winter shelters open. The counts are going on for the homeless folks. Important to understand that. Were either of you sitting on the animal control committee?
Animal control?
You know, the new animal facility?
Shelter.
Shelter
Yes,
facility?
that's me.
Okay. Are you continuing to do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you have concerns?
No, I do not have concerns, but I may ask to join you on that if
Okay.
if that's all right with you.
I think there's one representative from each jurisdiction.
I see, okay.
So we can discuss.
Okay, let's
I'd be
talk about
interested to know
it.
your
Yeah, let's talk about
interest.
it. I was going to ask earlier, but I forgot, and this is probably not the right time to ask.
Yeah.
But I did it anyway while I was thinking about it, and I'm going to stop now.
Thanks, Gary.
I attended the Creative Economies Town Hall put on by the Nevada County Arts Council, and also Californians for the Arts were there. I appreciate the Arts Council for continuing to engage our community on how to pay artists. I have a feeling there's going to be more coming in that space. Want to congratulate the Board of Supervisors for launching their annual workshop today. Chair Lisa Swarthout, newly seated chair, has announced that it's the year of small business. So looking for opportunities potentially to partner across jurisdictions to support local and small business. And also just want to say, it's, we live in this wonderfully charming, small, close-knit community, which in a lot of ways is relatively safe compared to what's happening across the US. And sometimes for me, I will say there's a bit of dissonance that is happening within my heart and my brain to feel a certain way in my community and then see the horrible atrocities that are happening across the nation by the federal government and ICE agencies. And I'm concerned for people. I didn't prepare anything here, but I felt silly not to say something with so much going on in Minnesota, and so much it seems like so much is at stake. My father is not a U.S. citizen, so I have a lot of personal and family concern and fear around what's happening, and I just wanted to name that because I think it's important for local leaders to name what's going on. And it's pretty fucked up, excuse my language, but that seems about accurate.
Thanks, Daniela.
Thank you.
Yeah, I've heard from some local business owners who are U.S. citizens, and ICE would have no reason whatsoever to talk to them, except that they look like they might not be according to the rules that ICE is playing by. And even here in our bubble, people are terrified because we all have phones now, and those are miniature film studios, and we can see what's going on everywhere all at once. And I think it's rational to be terrified. Along those lines, I went to the candlelight vigil that was held in Callahan Park the other night. Very sweet community feel. Makes you feel less alone, if not less terrified. I want to thank my colleagues for attending the gallery opening the other night, and the strangeness of hearing live music in this room. Very fun, very weird, a good time. Want to thank all the staff for the hard work on putting all that together. We are lucky every day for the staff. Like Daniela, attended the arts meeting down at the Foundry, which was great use of that space. I want to congratulate the Arts Council on the release of the 3rd issue of Muse Magazine, which is right over there on that table for anyone who wants to pick up a copy. Another great job by them. I also wanted to mention that as they often visit our community, the Tibetan monks are going to come on Monday and visit the HEW building and bless that, do a cleansing of sorts, I suppose. So I believe that's fully open to the public, and if you're interested, then by all means.
I think it's at 10 a.m.
I think so, yeah. And worthwhile. That's what I got. Thank you, everybody.
If I may.
Yeah.
In addition to what I was saying before, I think the piece that I want to follow up with, sometimes my inclination right now is to isolate and to go inward, and I'm trying to counter that because I think being in community, continuing to stay connected is really important right now. Talking to your neighbors, reaching out to people for support if you need it, I think is all really important. Don't let the bastards get us down.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
There we go. Motion and a second. Aye, we'll adjourn. Aye.